Magic the Gathering, a game full of chaos and limitless combos. People can do almost anything that they want. And in 2018, the Magic the Gathering Arena was. This was a game that limited the combos and made it a little more balanced. However, many new combos were found and were brought into the game this way. In response, the people at Magic started to ban specific cards for Arena to make it a little more balanced. This created a meta and made it very competitive to see which deck rises to the top and stays at the top. Many decks cycled through very quickly, and not many decks from the original period still exist. This series is to find out what types of decks it might become the best of the decks, and to test these decks and how capable they actually are. It's also to test what the community says on how the deck actually performed. For example, if a deck is taken to many tournaments online and won quite a bit, and the community reflects positively on the deck, it's believable. However, if there is a deck that has really never went to any tournaments and really has never performed well, and the community reflects the same way positively on the deck, it becomes less believable. So that's what we're here for, to figure out what are the best decks for multiple formats. Welcome to Climbing the Ranks. Also, according to YouTube, only 5.9% of you are subscribed, so please consider subscribing. You don't have to, but it would really help me to reach my goal by 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Welcome back to yet another episode of Climbing the Ranks, where today we have Jaxis the Troublemaker as our deck. It's a historic Brawl deck, and he's our commander. He has Blitz, which is basically when it enters a battlefield, it just costs less. It has haste, and you have to sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step, and you also get to draw a card when it dies. And its ability is what we're focusing the entire deck around, and it is to pay 1 red mana to tap it, discard a card, and you give a creature Blitz, and you copy that creature. So it's a really, really neat card, and we can start pumping out a lot of things, and anything with ETB triggers or death triggers, we get a lot of them. So let's get right into the deck. For our 1-drops, we have Blazing Volley for damage, Crash Through for draw, and the Festivities for damage, Fanatical Firebrand for, well, it does damage, and we can create a lot of them. Same for Goblin Arsonist, Goblin Javelineer, it's just a nice 1/1, Infuriate for pumping things up, Kumano, it's basically the only reason that it's in here is because it's a nice in the Festivities, and it's basically can just become a 2/2, and also it's the second ability is just so we don't really worry about it. It's just the first ability is what we really like. Raise the Effigy, we have destroy target artifact or give something a worse Infuriate. Reckless Ringleader, this gives anything in our hand haste. Scorch Spitter, it's Scorch Spitter, Shock is Shock. Strangle is a slightly worse Lightning Bolt. Bag of Holding, it's basically we get to have all of our cards back when we discard them off of Jaxis and that kind of stuff. Ginger Butte, we want a lot of little creatures out there so we can copy them off of Jaxis and get a lot of triggers off of them. Thermal Alchemist, we have a lot of instant and sorceries. A Braid, it destroys artifacts and it does 3 damage to target creature. Cathartic Pyre does 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and it's also draw. Cathartic Reunion for draw. Cavalcade of Calamity, we have a lot of little 1-drops. Fling for when we create a copy, we get a lot of advantage off of it, and anything that's kind of big like Terror of the Peaks, we can create another copy of it and sacrifice it to deal 5 damage to them and get a lot of advantage for ourselves. Keswick Flame Breather, we have quite a bit of non-creature spells. Lava Coil, it does 4 damage to anything, so it's removal, and we get to exile it. Lightning Strike is 3 damage to any target. Reckless Impulse is kind of draw. Rimrock Knight gives a slightly worse Infuriate, and if we need a 3/1 that can't block, we can get it out there. Thrill of Possibility, it's just draw. Thunder Rebuke for removal. Tormenting Voice for draw. Underworld Breach is the same reason why Bag of Holding's in there. You find some prisoners, it destroys a target artifact, and we get to steal our opponent's cards off of their library. Wily Goblin, we can create a lot of red mana off of this card by getting the ETB triggers off of Jaxis if we need a lot of red mana. Arcane Signet for ramp. Containment Construct, it's kind of the same reason why Bag of Holding, and Underworld Breach is in there. It's just I get to play the cards when I discard them. Mind Stone allows us for ramp. Shatterskull Smashing, we get removal, and, well, if the land, if we need it. Burgee, we can create a lot of ramp off of it, and if we need to, we can exile stuff from our top row library with Harnfell. Chaos Warp is removal. Electric Revelation is draw. Legion Warboss, we can create a lot of 1/1s with it. Raid Bombardment, we have a lot of 2 or less things out there. We have Witty Roastmaster. This card gets quite annoying. It's whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control. Witty Roastmaster deals 1 damage to each opponent, so we're creating a lot of copies off of Jaxis, and we can get a lot of triggers off of this. Magic Missile for damage. Shadow Soul Charger. Yes, this is a really fun card because you can have a 4/3 out there with Trample and Haste, and if we kick it, we can create quite a bit of them. Yes, we don't get the trigger off of it when it dies because it has to return to our hand first, but if they decide to block it, it's quite annoying. Circuit Mender is a quite crazy card in this deck. It's when it enters the battlefield, I gain 2 life. If we create a copy it, we gain 2 life, and then when it leaves, we draw a card. But with Jaxis, we can draw 2 cards. It's pretty awesome. Palladium Mirror, we get a lot of ramp off of it. Sky Scanner, it's a slightly worse Circuit Mender. It's only when it enters the battlefield we draw, and then when it dies we draw. So we're just drawing a bunch off of these. Big Score for draw. Sizzling Soloist, it's a really funny card, but whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature and opponent controls can't block, and we're creating a lot of tokens, so we can make a lot of their stuff not be able to block, and then if it's the second time this ability is resolved this turn, it can't attack. Well, it has to attack, I mean. So, like, they can't just sit there with it. If they have that 1/1 Soul Warden or whatever, they have to attack with it. Goblin Gang Leader, this is pretty much the same reason why Legion War Boss is in here. It's just to create a lot of goblins. Ogre Battle Driver, because whenever another creature enters the battlefield, we get, well, under our control, we get a +2/+0 and give it haste. It's pretty awesome. Next is Unexpected Windfall for draw and a ramp. Torbrand is where we're doing a lot of damage here, and that gives us more damage. Helm of the Host for creating a lot more copies. Lethal 4 Imjin, it's just Lethal 4 Imjin. We can get 2 Jaxis if we really need it, but it's mainly the ETB and death triggers we get to copy with it. Goldspan Dragon, it's quite a bit of treasure we can get with it, and if we can create copies of it, it's really, really cool. Terror of the Peaks for the same reason. Ember Cleave, because it's Ember Cleave Red Dragon. It deals 4 damage to each opponent when it enters the battlefield. Fire Emancipation, this is our win con, basically. Meteor Golem, we get to destroy target permanent when it enters the battlefield, which is pretty cool. And Ulamog, because it's Ulamog. Our lands, we have 33 mountains, a Sokenzon, Crucible Defense, Fabled Passage, Ghost Quarter, and Reliquary Tower. It's a pretty simple deck. All we're really wanting to do is to create a bunch of tokens and get a lot of damage in really, really quickly off of Jaxis. So yeah, let's get right into the games. Game 1, our hand is looking, well, really good. We have a nice curve with 2 lands, Mind Stone, and we also can deal with some things with Thundering Rebuke, and you find some prisoners. So we're going to throw a land down, and it looks like we're going against a zombie type of deck with his or her commander being Gula Collar Gisa. Let's see here. The Eternal Taskmaster's kind of bad, so we're gonna kill that with Thundering Rebuke, and we don't really need a Blazing Volley right now. We'll just save it for later. Hopefully we can get a land so we can get Jaxis out there, or something else. Or, we could do Sizzling Soloist as well, and I think we're gonna do... Jaxis would be good, but I think Sizzling Soloist would be a little better in this case. He has Death Baron out there, so if he does decide to attack with it, we can kill it with Sizzling Soloist, and we also, well, never mind, Blood Chief Stars deal with that pretty quickly. We're gonna do Legion War Boss here, or nah, Jaxis is just a lot better. Legion War Boss can come out next turn, and besides, we'll just have to create, what, 3 creatures, so that'll be not too bad, and you can only deal with really one of them unless he plays his commander, which he does not, so he's probably holding back some sort of spell that's gonna kill it. Jaxis, we're probably gonna discard something like a Blazing Volley, or maybe, yeah, Keswick Flamebreaker looks really good, but I think Blazing Volley is just better because Keswick Flamebreaker triggers off of non-creature spells, so we can get it off of Helm of the Host. We're going to give one of our things +1/+1 off of our Mentor ability. I don't think he's going to block. He does Liliana Standard Bearer. That will probably make a block available, and we're going to deal him 2 damage. We're going to get rid of his Standard Bearer, and we do draw a land here, so... yeah, let's draw a land. Well, not draw a land. Let's play a land, Fabled Passage, and let's grab a mountain that comes out untapped since we have 4 lands now. And Jaxis trigger will finally resolve, but it doesn't really matter because it's still going to end out the same way. And Gukala Gisa comes out there. That's not big of a deal right now because he doesn't have haste, or she doesn't have haste actually. And let's see, we're going to do Jaxis again on Goldspan Dragon, discarding the Keswick Flamebreaker this time because you find some prisoners in Helm of the Host, which is kind of better than it. And we're going to create another, well, we're going to create a 4/4. We're going to attack with the 1/1, the 4/4, and the other 4/4 Goldspan Dragon, creating 2 treasure tokens, so we're going to be able to play Helm of the Host second main. He's going to block the 1/1 because that's the only thing he can block, and yes, we're going to play the Helm of the Host here. and we will be able to equip it next turn, and we're also going to be able to draw a card off of something else unless he has something that's going to kill it immediately. Jaxis the Troublemaker triggers, allowing us to draw a card off of Goldspan Sacrifice. We drew an Underworld Breach, which will be a nice discard target because we don't have a whole bunch of mana. Well, we will be able to, but we don't have a whole bunch of mana right now, and we don't really need any cards from our graveyard back immediately. Cool Collar Geese is going to trigger. He's going to create 6 3/3 zombies, but that's not much of a deal right now. We have Helm of the Host, and we'll be able to kill him if we attach Goldspan Dragon to it. But I think we're just going to do this anyways. We're going to grab an Eldest Reborn. We're going to make him sacrifice a creature, but that's not going to be that much of a big deal. Legion Warboss is going to trigger, and we're going to attack with, let's see, Goldspan Dragon and the 1/1. Yes, we could have activated Jaxis the Troublemaker, but that's not much of like a thing that I'm too worried about. Though the 6 3/3 zombies is kind of terrifying, but also not really. I mean, it's just 6 3/3s. We can deal with it. We'll go down to 18. I'm cool with that, but I kind of want to block one, so we only go down to 15 unless he has something else that deals damage. And let's see, he's going to have to discard a card, which will be the only card in his hand. He's going to do a Village Rites, which makes a lot of sense. I'm just looking at his graveyard to see what he has that might be able to reoccur, and he still has to discard the card off of the trigger. So he discards, I don't even know what that is. Goldspan Dragon's going to attach it to Helm of the Host, and then I'm also going to activate Jaxis, allowing us to get 3 Goldspan Dragons, which should be able to kill him because that will be 12 total damage. And yep, going to next to combat, I think I'm just going to draw another card off of Mind Stone just in case, but we do have him right in the bag unless he draws something off of the Castle Lochthwain in order to kill something, which I don't think he does. He does Power Word Kill, but it doesn't affect us because our commander is, well, the thing is a dragon. Jaxis number 2, our playing commander, that's our commander's Jaxis the Troublemaker. We're going against Kyodai, Soul of Kamigawa. Interesting. We're going to throw a Fanatical Firebrand right out there. And I mean, it's a cool card because it's a 5-color deck, but I much rather prefer a Prismatic Bridge or even a Joda color deck, and maybe even dragons if I'm feeling a little, spicy. We're going to grab a Jaxis out here on turn, what, that would be 3. That's not too bad. Kami of Transits is kind of annoying because it's sort of like a Shrine effect card or more of an enchantment. There's the Shrine I was looking for. I'm pretty much looking for shrines in this deck. That's what this entire deck really likes to do quite a bit. So I'm not going to block with anything. I could get a Ogre Battle Driver out there if I draw land, so I can create 2 of them, and I think that's what we do. But I also want to get rid of the stuff, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do Lightning Strike, then Raid Bombardment's coming out here, and I'm going to pass it back to him. I'm still waiting on his commander. Captain Sisay comes out there. Interesting. So let's see if he's going to do anything with Captain Sisay, and he can, because he doesn't have anything with haste out there, thank goodness. We're going to big score to discard the Tormenting Voice, creating another 2, and I think we're gonna Thundering Rebuke the Shrine. The Captain Sisay is not that much of a deal, or a threat I should say, and we're gonna attack with a 2/3, so our Fanatical Firebrand won't die immediately. Kami of Transcendence triggers, it's going to get it back to the battlefield. Yeah, you graveyard to your hand if you discard or if you have an enchantment in there. Captain Sisay comes, is able to activate the ability. Sanctum of Calm Waters is what he's getting, so he's going to be able to start drawing cards. Ogre Battle Driver is going to come out there, and we're going to copy Ogre Battle Driver, so we're going to get 1 trigger off of it. We're going to attack with a 5/3 and a 1/1, and the Jaxis trigger is going to go through, and we do get a Cavalcade of Calamity, which is interesting. We could do Fanatical Firebrand, but Cavalcade of Calamity is still not going to trigger, so it's a nice discard target off of Jaxis, or if we really want to draw any more cards, like off of Thrill Possibility, that can do so. Binding of the Old Gods is going to kill our Jaxis. That's perfectly fine. I don't really care about it. We're at a really good position right now, and I think next turn or at the beginning of this end step, we should be able to do something like a Thrill Possibility to get some extra cards. So we're going to see what he's going to be able to do. He's in a pretty bad situation since we're going to be able to cast Jaxis once again, and we can activate the ability because we gave it Blitz. We're going to discard the Cavalcade of Calamity because we don't really care about it, and we're going to deal him a bunch of damage. So next turn we got him unless he does anything, and he scoops. We're running Jaxis as our commander. This is game 3. Our hand is looking very good. We have a nice Ginger Butte curve and also something like a Wily Goblin, so we can get our commander out there a lot easier. We're going against Angrath, champion or Captain of Chaos, sorry, and I believe that's the red-black Planeswalker one. I don't know if there is any other Planeswalkers of Angrath, and we're going to cast Wily Goblin here. We're going to create a treasure token, so hopefully if we draw a land, we get to play Jaxis on turn 3. That would be pretty nice. Let's see what he's going to do. He's going to do a rat colony. I'm guessing he's running rats, which is interesting, not running it like the rat lord. We're going to kill the rat colony, and we're going to, a couple of damage is going to go through, and let's see. We have a pretty good hand. He's running Angrath, Captain of Chaos with rats, which is interesting. I wonder why he's not running, I cannot remember what the Rat Lord is, but it gives everything fear and it gives rats. It's just like a Cranko for rats. And we're going to attack with a Ginger Butte because we don't really care for it after we played our Jaxis as our commander. This is going to get interesting. Let's see what he's going to be able to get out there. Another rat colony. That's not surprising at all. They're both 3/1s. Let's see if we can do some stuff. We have a lava coil, so we can get rid of it, but I don't want to waste all my mana on one single card, and I don't want to cast Underworld Breach. So we're going to do the lava coil, and we're going to be able to copy the Wily Goblin in order to get, a little bit more mana. I probably should have kept the Raid Bombardment and discarded the Red Dragon or Underworld Breach, because that's not really much of a deal. And we're also going to be able to draw a card off a Wily Goblin, and we get a land. Sadly, we cannot play it because it was our end step that card triggers off of. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. Another rat colony, not surprisingly. I'm guessing he has one more in his hand, so they're going to all be 4/1s. Yep, I exactly suspected that. And this is kind of getting a little scary. We're going to draw a land. That's not very good. Goldspan Dragon's going to come out here. It's a 4/4 with flying, so we won't be able to block it. And we're not going to be able to cast anything else, but I mean, we could cast Jaxis to get another draw. Well, not activate Jaxis' ability to get another draw off of, Wily Goblin to get another treasure. I don't really need that right now. 4/1s with Menace. I mean, I guess I can see why he wanted it, because it gives everything Menace as his commander, and it gives him some shock abilities, but we're going to be able to get a nice red dragon out there. We're going to do Jaxis Troublemaker on the red dragon. We're going to make him suffer a little bit more, and that should be game because he has no flyers and no blockers in general. Alright, Game 4, we're playing Jaxis the Troublemaker as our commander. Our hand is looking really good. We have a Cavalcade of Calamity, and we also have a Rimrock Knight, and if we have enough land to cast a Shadow Skull Charger to start, pummeling him down a little bit. He's running Safar Skyblade, giving all other creatures with flying indestructible, so I'm guessing he's running Angels or some other type of flying deck, but that's the most popular right now. I'm assuming that he didn't want Gyata because the indestructible ability and the amount of ramp that I believe this could do, but it's still quite an expensive commander, especially in mono white, a monocolor deck that can't really help ramp well on the arena, but I think he's doing pretty well. He gets Dawning Angel out there, allowing him to get a lot of life. He's basically gained all the back that I just dealt to him, and then we're going to cast Jaxis here. We could cast Shadow Skull Charger, which is what I'm going to do, because it's a 4/3 and I don't really care about it. He can block or do whatever he wants to it. I don't really care. Let's get that Angel Tribal stuff. It has Trample, so it's going to deal him 1 damage, because he did the, Griffinary. He didn't gain any life, and that's our win con. Fiery Emancipation comes out there. We're going to be able to start whittling down quite a bit. He doesn't get another land, so he can't cast Safar as his commander. Starnheim Unleashed comes out there. He gets another 2/4/4 Angels. That'll save him a little bit, but it doesn't save him enough. Raid Bombardment comes out there, and we're going to copy our Scorch Spitter. And we're also just going to attack with 1 because it's going to deal him 3 more damage. He's going to block, definitely. It almost kills this thing, and that's why we're going to Rimrock Knight it, and then we're going to cast Rimrock Knight. It can't block, yes, but it doesn't really matter, and we do have him next game. If he doesn't play anything, which he does, he plays Planar Ally, and he scoops. Game 5, we're running Jaxis the Troublemaker as our commander. It's looking pretty good. We're going against Muxus, surprisingly, as a commander, and we drew our pretty much one and only goblin in our deck. Well, that's a lie. We have 3 or 4. And he plays Tin Tree Dodger, and we're also going to play Goblin Javelineer here to get some early damage in. Hopefully 2 damage, unless he kills it with something in his hand, which I don't know why, because they're just 2 1/1s. I mean, that's his whole deck is 1/1s, really. And let's see. His hand is looking okay. I'm not sure why he's playing 3 and not having anything. I know goblins can be a little bricky sometimes, but even then, they usually have something. There it is. Skewer the Critics. That is what I was waiting for. Heartfire is going to deal with our whole board with Skewer the Critics, and we're going to be able to get our Legion War Boss and dealing him 1 damage. Hopefully, we can get a land in order to get Jaxis out there, and we do. We get a Ghost Quarter. We're going to play Jaxis the Troublemaker, and we're going to attack with 1. He blocks with Passionate Mons because we have to attack with it. Passionate Mons is a really good card for this deck. However, we don't have a lot of destruction things or a lot of shocking things, only things that will deal with creatures and exile them, so it won't really kill them like with Passionate Mons, and besides, we're going to be able to kill it anyways. Jax is going to trigger, we're going to do Legion War Boss, we're going to get 2 1/1s, and we're going to have to swing with everything because that's what we really want to do here, because I don't really care if our Jaxis dies. And he's brings the Den of the Bugbear out there and he scoops. So to everyone's surprise, this deck performed very, very well. I mean, any token deck that allows us to create a bunch of tokens and to draw and to also protect itself is a very, very good commander. And with having a lot of 1-drops and haste things in, well, mono red, it creates a lot of trouble, and that is hence the name. So this deck, well, won almost 100% of the time. I mean, there is some downsides to this deck. I mean, if you're able to constantly kill the commander, it hurts quite a bit. And if you're able to kill all my other cards that I'm copying, or anything that doesn't create, like prevents creating tokens, will really destroy this deck. However, I don't know if there's really any MTGA cards that really do that on here. However, I mean, there was no really big performers. I mean, Goldspan Dragon was a very, very good contender, up to be one of the best ones, but the commander is so well built that it makes it to where almost every card in the deck is really, really crucial to what the deck does. And the only really kind of duddy card was Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, and the Underworld Breach. Yes, Underworld Breach could do some things later, but it really didn't perform at all in this few games that I showed you, and Ulamog is just too much of a card to put in there, but I really like it in there in case we do get it, and being able to create more of it, which, well, we don't really have anything that will do that, but if we could have created more of it with something if we had Mirror Box, but I just like it in there because it's a game finisher if we do get that much mana out there, especially in a mono red deck with cards that are really, really tiny. A lot of your creatures are really, really tiny, and the bigger things cost a lot more, do really good things but cost a lot more. This card, Fire Emancipation, in any red deck or any deck that runs red is very, very good because it's any source. It's not specific like something like Torbrand, because this is specific to red sources, this is specific to any sources, so it's unspecific at all. But it's a very good, very, very good deck, and you don't really have to worry about anything. All of your stuff is little, and it's just overall a really, really fantastic commander deck. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate you if you did, and to reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Thank you for watching.